Good afternoon, YouTube. What is going on? Welcome into the Allen Hour. It's your boy Dylan and Andrew back with you here for another Yankees series report, and it's another sweep. That's now two in a row. The Yankees on a 6-game win streak. Started with the Royals. Now it rolls over into Boston and Fenway, which is nice to see as the team gets ready to travel down to Houston. I'm sure they're already there to play the Astros tonight at 8 o'clock. So big middle of the week series, Andrew. We talked about the importance of getting wins in division play and how they got swept by Tampa earlier, and they respond this time with a sweep against the Red Sox.
Yes. Welcome in, everybody. Happy April 24th, almost the end of April already, which is when I really start taking stats and things seriously. So it's nice to see the team rounding out a little bit, especially pitching-wise. They've just been outstanding over the 6-game win streak. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about it. This has been a fun 6-game stretch, probably the most fun episode we've recorded so far. I mean, at least the most confident I felt in the team thus far. So, yeah, excited to go over it all.
In terms of a 3-game stretch, you couldn't really ask for much more, maybe just a touch more offense, but I'd say it was pretty damn consistent. 4 runs in every game of the series. And we'll start with the first game, game 1. They win it 4-0. They shut out the Red Sox, and it was from a surprising Luis Gil best performance of the season. 6 1/3 for him. Just 2 hits allowed, 83 pitches he finished with. The walks were about where you would expect at 3, but the strikeout number, Andrew, consistently low for Gil this year. I think in large part due to his velocity drop off. But other than that, it seemed like the Red Sox were just super aggressive early on in at bats, and it led to quick outs for them, and it heavily favored Gil, which allowed him to go as deep into the game as he did.
Yeah, if you told me he was going to have more walks than strikeouts, I probably would have said they lost the game. But he actually ended up giving up 0 runs. So pretty impressive from him. That's kind of a thing that reminds me of his Rookie of the Year self. Not the low strikeout numbers. Obviously, he was more of a strikeout guy when he won Rookie of the Year. But the low contact, I mean, just 2 hits. That's kind of what he was dominant when he won Rookie of the Year, was low batting average against. So to see that in this game was pretty nice. I don't know, like, if I just have no confidence in the Red Sox offense, like they're terrible.
Yeah, they're bad.
And I don't think we 100% knew that. Like, first game, maybe we thought the Luis Gil start was like awesome, but kind of as the series unfolded, that lineup is not very good. They missed Roman Anthony for a couple games. So I don't know where the lineup is going to go for the Red Sox. I'm kind of happy it stinks, but yeah, good to see Luis Gil get a nice start against a crappy lineup.
Yeah, Connolly early was the first left-handed pitcher that the Red Sox threw out there in the series. Ranger Suarez hit game 2. We'll get to that in a moment. He got the loss in this game. He went 5 1/3, 5 hits, 3 runs, 3 walks surrendered, and 4 strikeouts. And game 1, it was on the back of Giancarlo Stanton, who went 2 for 4 in the effort, solo home run, his 3rd of the year, and he had a 2 RBI double as well. And Grichuk got involved as well, 2 for 4. Had an RBI double in the 8th inning that tacked on that 4th run, which is always nice to see late in the game. But it was pretty smooth sailing for the Yankees in the first game. Not really much from the bullpen. Yeah, I mean, there was a perfect game pitching wise, no runs. And offensively, yeah, I mean, you would want more than 4. But at the same time, it was nice to see Grichuk at least get involved in a game where, this is where he's going to start, right? Against the lefty. And we keep coming on here and defending his splits against lefties in his career. He really didn't show it all that much this year. And in this one, he seemingly figured it out going 2 for 4. So that was nice to see as well.
Yeah, I mean, just in general, kind of their lefty lineup, like the lineup that they roll out when they face lefties, hasn't really gotten going so far. And we've seen a lot of lefties so far this season. This was one of the games and really one of the series where we saw it moving. Obviously, Ahmed Rosario in this game doesn't get a hit, but we'll talk about him later because he made a big impact on the series. But Randall Grichuk had 2 hits in this game. Obviously, you mentioned Stanton, who we've been talking about needing extra base hits for a little bit now. He gets 2 in this game off of a lefty. So Bellinger, another hit against a lefty. So kind of the guys that they need to be really good against lefties who haven't so far were really good against lefties in this game. And I think that's probably because maybe they're getting a little more action. As I said, they've faced a lot of lefties. So Randall Grichuk has been in there like a good amount the last week or so. And same with Ahmed Rosario. And obviously Stanton has been, always good against lefties in his career. So good to see that come to fruition a little bit. But yeah, just cool to see finally their righty lineup against the lefties working a little bit more.
Yeah, so we get to game two because again, game one was nice to see 4-0, but there wasn't a whole lot to talk about. It was a really good game. There's nothing really to critique. You got to give the Yankees credit; they played well in all facets of the game. Jump to game two, and this is where one of the shining performances of the entire series occurred. Right, Max Fried, 8 innings pitched, he gets the win, moves the 3-1 record wise, just surrendering 3 hits, no runs, 2 walks, and 9 strikeouts, 100 pitches, pretty damn efficient. And we were watching the game and, I selfishly, I'm sure Fried wants to go out for that ninth inning. I want him to go out for that ninth inning personally. But again, I understand in a 4-0 game, I'm cool with them taking him out. But I would have liked to see Max Fried try and go the full 9. I know we're early on in the year, but how many chances do you get at Fenway to do a complete game shutout, right? And he's a Yankee in his second year of a long contract, 8 years. That opportunity just doesn't come all that often. And I think that Boone should have put him out there. That's just my opinion. But nonetheless, very good start from Max Fried. And he continues to dominate and continues to go deep into games, which is just awesome to see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really mind it either way. I think 100 pitches, putting a guy out there with 100 pitches is a lot. I think maybe if he was closer to the lower end of 90, maybe they put him back out there for the ninth. But when it's 4-0, you can kind of just get him off his feet a little bit. He's already at 100 pitches. Like if it was 1-0 and he's been dominant the whole game, maybe you're less likely to put another guy in there. But yeah, I mean, Max Fried, we talked about it last week. I think in the last series against the Royals, the Yankees had 2 games where they only threw 2 pitchers. This was
Mhm.
another one of those games. Obviously, he goes 8 innings. Brett Hedrick gets the 1 out or 1 inning in the ninth. But yeah, another big thing to see from Stanton in this game, hitting lefties again. We saw Ben Rice get the day off against Ranger Suarez in this game after going 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts against a lefty the night before. He comes in actually and ends up getting a pinch hit strikeout again. So 0 for 5 to this point with 5 strikeouts for Rice in the series. But Stanton, yeah, 2 more extra base hits in this game. We've been crying for, I think, at the end of the Royals series, the last game he played in the Royals series, his OPS was down to a 650, which for a guy like Stanton, if he's hitting 250 average wise, you do not expect his OPS to be that low. Now it's kind of in the 720s after a bad game 3, which we'll get to in a second. But yeah, starting off the series with 4 extra base hits in 2 games. Amed Rosario, huge 3-run home run in the first inning when it felt like they were really just making Ranger Suarez throw a lot of pitches. I thought for sure this was going to be a short outing for Ranger Suarez. Props to him for even making it into the 5th inning and almost completing 5, because I think after that first inning, he had close to 30 pitches. And it was almost as if, I think Amed Rosario hit that home run with 2 outs, something like that. They were working pitches without necessarily getting guys on base initially either. I think Paul Goldschmidt started the game off with a 10-pitch at bat. So to me, it felt like it was going to be a long outing for Ranger Suarez. Long day, not a long outing. Long day for him. But no, credit to him for figuring it out. But credit to Amed Rosario getting off to a 3-0 lead and kind of coasting from there. Anytime you give your ace a 3-0 lead in the first inning, I mean, you feel pretty darn good about that.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Goldschmidt at bat. Yeah, it was a 3-2 count, and he fouled off 5 straight pitches or 4, and then grounded out on that eventual 10th pitch in total. So yeah, I mean, even though it results in an out, in my opinion, that's a productive out, getting that pitch count up to 10. And then yeah, that 3-run bomb was with 2 outs because Judge walked and then Bellinger struck out. So Yankees had a man on first with 2 gone. Stanton doubles. Now it's second and third, and Rosario just comes up big. And listen, it's not to take anything away from the Rosario home run, but if you watch that pitch, I think maybe one of Ranger Suarez's worst pitches he's thrown, like the most hanger changeup I've ever seen. One of. And
Yeah, bad.
so he left it right over the middle, and he knew immediately. And so did Ahmed. He pimped the ball. He pimped the home run as soon as he hit it. He did the little chest bump thing. But listen, and how about the timing? I picked Ahmed Rosario to be the series MVP because of the lefty matchups in the Royals series. And I mean, he had a good series, but was not the best. And then all of a sudden in this series, boom, 3-run shot, and he had a sac fly. He drove in all the runs in this game by himself. So
Yeah, I mean, you're
just
talking about
uncanny timing.
timing. Do you remember who I picked in that series MVP?
You picked Stanton, yes, and he
Right,
also had a
and now
very
he
good
has
series.
4 extra base hits in 2 games, the
Yeah.
first 2 games of the series. So, it just happens. You never know when guys are really gonna get going. They showed Amed Rosario's stats that he's currently better against righties than lefties, which is nice to see. If that continues, that's awesome. I don't think that will continue just because over his 10-year MLB career, he's been like really, really good against lefties and not as good against righties. But we'll see if that continues. Obviously, this was nice to see against a lefty.
Yeah, and Ranger Suarez too. I know it's been a kind of an up and down year for him. He's sitting at a 4 ERA flat right now, and I know he's been a better pitcher with the Phillies before he was with Boston. But it was nice to see getting him out of the game in that 5th inning before he could really complete full 5 innings. And he still is a very good pitcher. It's just he's not kind of in that full swing just yet. So I did like what I saw from the Yankees there. You go to Game 3 now, Andrew. And Cam Schlittler in the return to Fenway, his first ever start in what was his hometown ballpark growing up, right? Grew up a Red Sox fan, going to Fenway, going to Red Sox games, rooting against the Yankees. Now he's pitching for the Yankees in his first start there, and he goes 8 damn innings, 96 pitches total, and by far not his most dominant start of the year, but the longevity that him and Fried and Weathers at times, it's been super impressive from this rotation. And in fact, we really haven't seen this kind of longevity from a Yankee rotation in quite some time. I couldn't even tell you when. It has not been in recent years that at least personally, I don't remember many pitchers going 7, 8 innings all this consistently outside of maybe Cole. And even he would just go 6, maybe 7, if anything, because of the high pitch count at that point.
There was a stretch in 2024, summer of 2024, that I can remember where they were just on a tear, like 7 innings constantly. And I think Clark Schmidt ended up getting hurt at the end of that, something like that. Maybe that was 25. I don't think it might have been 25. I can't remember right off the top of my head. But yeah, I mean, this is awesome. And again, we mentioned with the Fried start, 2-pitcher outing for the Yankees. This is another one. That's the 4th along this 6-game win streak they've had. It's been 4 times where we've only had to throw 2 pitchers in an entire game. Didn't feel like Schlittler had his best stuff. I mean, 5 strikeouts in 8 innings. That's not like Schlittler. But, I mean, to still go 8 innings, there's people on the internet that Cutter is king, think 8 innings is, like, not great anymore. I don't know. Apparently, he's been pretty upset with the Red Sox, so I'll leave him alone. But yeah, it's just Schlittler going back to Boston. It was such a big storyline the whole week, and we've talked about it a ton. He's just been getting a lot of hate from the Boston fans, been trolling them a lot, even though that's his hometown team. So nice to see him do really, really well here. And yeah, again, another 4-run outing for the Yankees. 4 runs, 4 runs, 4 runs. I think if we played one more game, the game would end 4-3. At least that's the pattern that we were seeing so far. But yeah, Jazz, 2 hits and a home run in this one, which was huge. Bellinger off the bench with a go-ahead 2 RBI single, which was huge. So just nice to see these guys getting involved and getting timely hits, because it didn't feel like the Yankees played their best game, I'll be honest, and they still come away with a win, which is always a great feeling.
Oh, I mean, there's no doubt. The Yankees looked horrific, the offense, the first 6 innings of this game. They had a rookie, a glorified rookie, Peyton Tolle making his MLB starting debut, I think, or something. 11 strikeouts. I mean, and you watch the first 2 innings, I think he struck out 5 of the first 6 batters, and it was fastball, fastball, fastball. And then the second inning, he threw a changeup to Stanton, which was the first he threw the entire game, and completely tricked Stanton, which I can understand. He was just pumping fastballs, and then he throws that out of nowhere. So yeah, the Yankees were fortunate to get to Colomé in the 7th inning, I guess, later on. But Peyton Tolle just had their number throughout that entire start, and he just gave up that 1 run. The Yankees really couldn't do anything. So that was a bit, I mean, I don't want to say worrisome because it's just 1 game, but it was against the lefty, which I think the Yankees lineup favors more too. And if you had to pick if Boone had to pick a side of a pitcher to face, I think he would prefer a left-handed pitcher, given the bench bat options that he has to work with. Stanton, Judge, right? You add those guys into the equation. And so it was a bit troublesome to see just how early on they struggled. They seemingly were not picking it up, and then it carried through 6 innings, and they still really couldn't figure him out. And those 11 strikeouts. So it was definitely the worst game of the series for the offense. But to their credit, sometimes it's how baseball works, right? You got to get through the starter, try and get him out of the game, and once you get to the bullpen, then that's when you make your mark. And that was kind of why I wanted Max Fried to go to the 9th. Not that I thought the Yankees would blow it in the 9th inning up 4 runs, but it was kind of just a feel of they're not picking him up at all. Like, they're not really seeing him well, other than the line drive to third that McMahon caught, I think, in the 8th inning to kind of bail him out a bit, limit a double down the line. The Red Sox really just weren't seeing him. So I like to just kind of not take the chance of giving the Red Sox an out. They're hoping you take out a guy like Max Fried because they're not picking him up, right? The Yankees are hoping Peyton Tolley gets taken out of this game because they can do some damage to the next guy they bring in. Not to say that Tolley could have gone 7, 8, but that's kind of what the opposition wants you to do. They want to face somebody different and hopefully start chipping away at that guy. So that was kind of my rationale for Fried. But again, the Yankees, to their credit, the Red Sox go to the pen. They have to, and they take care of business. They tack on the runs they need to win this one.
Yeah, I mean, Peyton Tolley, it's a guy the Yankees haven't seen before. Obviously, you said it's a young pitcher. I mean, I don't know how much information they have on him in general, so I'm not overly concerned about their performance against him. The guy had great stuff. They did have him on the ropes a couple times. They had bases loaded, no outs at one point against him, and he got 3 straight outs. So that was a little bit like, oh, come on. They could have definitely blown it up a little bit more. Obviously, he only gave up the 1 run. So, yeah, I mean, concerning, but I mean, it's not the end of the world for me. I'm happy that Ben Rice got a hit against him. That's nice to see off a lefty because he had a bad series. Judge struck out 3 times against him. I think at one point it was 7 for 9, like the first 9 batters, 7 of them struck out, something like that. So, yeah, just a bad start. I was listening on the radio and it just felt like Dave Sims was saying strike out way too much, but I'm glad they got it done. And I'm glad once a guy like that, like you mentioned, is taken out of the game, like you have to take advantage now. You're struggling against a guy. Now you're getting an opportunity because Schlittler has given you that opportunity, playing so well, pitching so well. So I'm glad they took advantage of it.
You mentioned Jazz hitting his first home run. It's the path
Yep.
to the 50-50 season that we were promised in the offseason. All joking aside, it's nice to see him kind of get involved because he has been a struggling bat. He really has had some ugly at-bats. I mean, we kind of covered it in the previous video with the Royals. I kind of quizzed you on the walk to strikeout ratio for him and for Stanton, and they were very, very bigger gaps than I thought, and definitely what you thought, and you were going into it blind when I asked you that. It was about a 24-6 ratio at that time when we looked at it. I don't know what it is now, but it was nice to see him kind of get some quality at-bats in there in this game specifically to clean up what's been a sluggish of a first half start for him. So it was nice to see.
Really nice. I mean, it was his second multi-hit game of the series. He had 2 hits in the first game and now 2 hits in this game, and obviously the big home run. I mean, it was a nice Fenway, wrap around the pole shot, but hey, it's a home run nonetheless, and hopefully that creates some juice because as much as the Yankees, are rolling right now, best record in the American League, still feel like the offense has not been clicking just yet. You have guys like Stanton who are not slugging. Jazz is still not slugging. I don't think Trent Grisham is slugging where we need him to be. Obviously, Judge and Rice have been hitting the home runs and mainly doing the slugging for the Yankees. But yeah, feels good to be like 16-9 and feel like half your lineup still isn't what they're supposed to be. So hopefully that starts to turn around.
Right. So now they go to Houston, and not that we're going to get into that series just yet, but they're also kind of start trying to figure stuff out. They're 10-16, so this could be another series where the Yankees walk in to an opponent ballpark, get a series win, and kind of continue to build off this 6-game win streak, 2 sweeps in a row. And you hope to see the offense kind of improve. And I mean, there are some favorable matchups, which we will get to later on in the stream against the Astros that the Yankees could do some damage against. But again, Yankees get the sweep in Boston. We cannot really complain. We talked in that Royals preview breakdown and the Red Sox preview. We talked about how realistically 2 out of 3 would be nice. A sweep would be awesome, right? But you never really are expecting a sweep because the Red Sox by season's end should be a decent team. They should figure things out, right? I don't know if they'll be in the wild card hunt. This division is very competitive this year, but at the very least, they should be a quality opponent in the division that they're just starting to get their footing right now at this point in the year. So it was nice to see. And again, we talk about the importance of divisional wins, how they dropped that series against the Rays. They got swept on the road. They go on the road again, and this time they get the sweep. So now they're 3-3 in the division, right? And so hopefully they can continue to build off of that as they go on throughout the season, because divisional play is huge when it comes down to seeding in the playoffs. We talked about it at length the last time that was mentioned, but it's nice to see a sweep in Boston against the Red Sox. Schlittler with the last game kind of getting to talk his shit, and he posted on his story too. I don't know if you saw, the Yankees posted a photo of him on the mound in like black and white filter, and he reposted it saying that's what a sweep looks like or something like that. So,
Nice.
he likes to get the final word in there too, which was nice.
Yeah, that was cool. And I said going into the series that I thought like a sweep of this team was more important to me than a sweep of the Rays, because I said that I think the Red Sox will be there in the end. Watching them a little more in depth this series, I'm not so sure about that anymore. Obviously, it's April; things can change. We didn't see Roman Anthony for 2/3 of the series, so I wasn't just overly impressed with them. I don't think their bats are very good. They're missing, ironically, like a Rafael Devers type of like big power bat in there, someone that could just slug a bunch of runs home. Because I think their leader in OPS right now is Masataka Yoshida at 800, and that's if that's going to be the guy that's doing the slugging for you and providing the power and the extra bases, it's going to be a long season for them. So that makes me happy in a way. I do think that they could turn it around, but I just think they're missing some guys offensively. They're a pretty dry offense, and they got extra base hits from guys like Jaron Duran, who hadn't been hitting well before the series, and then he even hits well in the series, and it still wasn't a lot. So not overly impressed with the Red Sox, to be honest. We did avoid Crochet, who has been
Mhm.
struggling, but we did avoid Crochet. We avoided, Sonny Gray, a couple of those better pitchers, but yeah, not overly impressed. I'm going to be honest.
I think Sonny Gray is dealing with an injury as well. I don't even think he's pitching for them as of right now. Like it's recent. But so yeah, the Red Sox could be in trouble if Crochet continues to struggle and Gray is out for a couple weeks or so, misses a couple starts. They could really fall into a deep hole record wise in the next couple of weeks up ahead. Now the Yankees it's not as long of a road to the next off day as it was previously when we talked about that, but they do not have an off day until
Next Thursday?
Thursday,
Yeah.
Thursday, April 20th, 30th, excuse me. They don't have an off day until a week from yesterday. So now you factor in the 3 games in Boston. They got to go 3 games in Houston, 3 games at Texas, no off days in between any of that. So we talked about how important it was that the starters went as long as they did in this Boston series, right? You have to hope that some of that then carries over into the Houston series, right? So that you have fresh bullpen arms for both of these series that you're going to close out before you hit that eventual Thursday off day. It's huge that the starters in this series were able to go as long as they did. So now the bullpen is pretty fresh for this Houston weekend series, which is big.
Yeah, it's huge, especially, and we talked about this in the last episode too, coming off that Angels series when it felt like we were seeing the same bullpen guys like way too much in that 4 game set. Now, obviously, the Royals and the Red Sox have been 2 of the worst offenses in baseball, but that's what you need to do against 2 of the worst offenses in baseball. The 3 pitchers in this series, 22 and a third innings pitched, 9 hits, 1 run, 6 walks, 16 strikeouts. That's a .4 ERA for the starters and a .67 WHIP for 6-7 of the episode. So that's just important stuff. It's massive. I understand you could say, yeah, they're not a good offense. That's what you need to do against bad offenses. Okay. And I do think the Red Sox will be a better offense. But again, that's what you need to do against bad offenses. So over this 6-game stretch, 42 and 2/3 innings pitched, 22 hits, 3 runs, 9 walks, 41 strikeouts. That's a .64 ERA in their last 6 starts. And all of those games have gone at least 6 innings. The lowest was Cam Schlittler. His first game against the Royals just went 6 innings. That's the shortest outing of anybody in these last 6 games. The ERA between those 6 would be .21 if you took out that pointless Carter Jensen home run that he hit against Will Warren when we were already up 10-0. So they're just absolutely dominating, and that's the way the Yankees are going to win. If they pitch, they're going to win. It's that simple. And they're not even at full strength starting pitching wise, and we've talked about that at length. I don't know if that will mess up the chemistry of anything. I hope not, right? It seems like a good problem to have. We're pitching so well, and we have 2 really, really good guys coming back. Yeah, just incredible. I think Garrett Cole in his rehab start too, 52 pitches, like 43 of them were strikes. So he
Yeah.
looks like he's really gearing up. Could be just having fun in Double A, messing with some of those guys. But yeah, it's what you want to see. It's how you're going to win games. And the offense is going to have their series where they score 30 runs in a series or when they score 25 runs in a series. That's going to happen because this offense is legit. But when they're not and you're still able to win games because your pitching is that dominant, that's exactly what you need. And that's why they have the best record in the American League.
Not that I'm trying to help Boston at all offensively, but I think the biggest reason that their offense is as bad as it is they're kind of living and dying by their aggression, right? Early in at bats, we mentioned it at the top of the episode. They are super aggressive in at bats, and that can either lead to predicting a fastball correctly and smashing it, right? Or they just keep peppering in these changeup sliders, whatever, off speed stuff, and you look like fools. Like there was I think it was it Max Fried, Andrew, with Contreras? There was a curveball that someone spiked in the dirt. Maybe it was Heel, but it was like the worst swing I've ever seen at a curveball.
That was terrible.
And it kind of just emulated the entire series for the Red Sox offensively. They were just uber aggressive in every single at bat. They were looking to hit the ball on the first pitch, which I can understand that, but there was no adjustment made. And I think that's the biggest reason the offense for the Red Sox was just as bad as it was. They lived and they died by that early aggression. The Yankees picked up on it. The Red Sox never adjusted, and the Yankees took full advantage, which is why Heel went 6 1/3 and Fried and Schlittler went 8 innings flat each, right? I mean, it was, and the highest pitch count was 100 between the three of them, right? Then you get 93 and 83. So it was, I think the Red Sox really have to look at themselves in the mirror, and maybe Cora just addresses the team and says, listen, we got to change the approach with some of these teams, because while it may work, we're 9-16 right now. We cannot continue to be this aggressive and early in counts and letting these starters go 7-8 innings on us. And then we only get one look at another pitcher and we're struggling throughout the entirety of the game. So I think that's something that they're going to have to fix and really self-analyze and change, because it's going to, I think, come back to bite them throughout the course of 162.
Yeah, and just I haven't like looked at this. I just overviewed it for game one, but it felt like they go a long time without hits. They had 4 hits in the first game, but it feels like they have like those 4 hits didn't come in like one inning and like there you go, score. They had a single in the second inning, which was their second hit of the game. They didn't have another hit until the 9th inning. They went like stretches in every game, and that's just the first game. But I know for a fact that they went on stretches in other games too, like 4, 5, 6 inning stretches of no hits. That, I mean, 3 up, 3 down. There's some walks in there, but you're not going to get anything going like that. And they look really unimpressive. I did not think watching the series. Now, maybe it's credit to the Yankees, right? Maybe it's credit to their starting pitching. Maybe they're really that dominant. But I mean, there were signs of this going into the series that the Red Sox have not put it together yet. I thought it was kind of a trap series because it felt like the Red Sox were so bad that, you know, once they play us, they're going to all of a sudden turn into this great team. But no, really just really bad stuff. And I feel bad for those kids in Boston. I think they didn't eat all week. So I don't know where they're going to get their next meal. They got swept. So we'll see. We'll see, man. The Red Sox, they look pretty like unthreatening right now to me in the division.
Yeah,
and I can't believe I'm saying that April 24th.
Yeah, they gotta hope the Royals or the Mets come into town on a Tuesday night for those kids to eat in the future and any time. Yeah, they gotta hope one of those guys come in.
And I mean, you look at them, right? If you were to run into them in a wild card series and they're healthy, right, and you're dealing with Garrett Crochet, Sonny Gray, Ranger Suarez, I mean, that's intimidating to me, because I think at the best, you know, those guys are like top of the line starters, but they can't hit. They can't hit.
Right. I think it really has to do with the approach of their at-bats. They're not working counts, and they're not really building up any momentum, because you mentioned they get a hit, right? And then they're all of a sudden, next at-bat, if it's a one-pitch ground out, there was barely any time for the pitcher to be nervous on the mound, kind of think about, okay, I just gave up the hit. Like there was one pitch, boom, out. And the confidence was immediately restored with the pitcher. Whatever the case is, or they throw a bad pitch and they just swing and miss, and it's a shit swing. That immediately instills more confidence in a pitcher. So I just think that that approach needs to change, because you're absolutely right. The pitching on paper for a 3-game wild card series, right? If we were to just copy and paste what happened last year, they have in terms of just names, they have a very solid veteran rotation that has playoff experience. Ranger 100%. Suarez has had plenty of starts with the Phillies in his past time, right? So that is a rotation at its full strength. When they're clicking, you do not want to face. So the offense is what is holding back the Red Sox for sure. I think it's an approach thing that they have to change going forward. We'll see if they do. We'll see if they make the adjustment. Before we get to the Houston series, let's wrap this up, Andrew. Let's wrap this up.
Sure.
We'll go to the series MVP picks. I go first, right, this week. I think you picked the last time. So without further ado.
With that, yeah, I'm with that, sure.
I'm not a huge fan of tooting my own horn. I really am not, because as you can see by the record, this is the first time I'm doing it this year. I picked Max Fried to be the MVP, and that's who I'm picking to be the actual MVP. Like, I predicted him to do it, and I thought he had the best performance, one of the more impactful ones in this series. 8 innings against the Red Sox, that holds a lot of value to me. And this was something where if it was up to me, I would have put him out for a 9th. not selfishly for the MVP. I just thought that you were kind of doing the Red Sox, you were doing yourself a disservice, giving them a new look. I thought you had all the advantage in the world. They seemingly could not figure out Fried. I highlighted that Contreras swing and a miss. I don't have the video prepared. I also don't want this video getting flagged for copyright stuff, but if you look it up online, you could find it. Contreras swung and missed at a curveball in his third at bat against Fried, I think. And just you could tell he had no idea what he was throwing all over the place. 3 hits, did not give up a run. The walk control was there, and the strikeout numbers were there, 9 strikeouts. So I thought Max Fried had a fantastic game. And Luis Gil surprised me in game 1, but I did predict that Max Fried would have a stopper type of performance in game 2. And had the Yankees lost the first game, this would have been a masterclass of a stopper of a game. So I don't think that Max Fried should be given any less credit because Luis Gil had a great start in game 1 and they won, which I guess in theory would make this game quote unquote less important. But again, I just thought it was a really, really great performance. And the fact that it's not even his best of the year, Andrew, I think tells a lot of how good he's been this year. So Max Fried's my MVP.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it. This was a pitching series, and he by far, to me, had the most impressive outing of any of the starters. And if I were to go first, I would have picked Max Fried as well. So you're not necessarily tooting your own horn. I do think he deserved the MVP. I'm going to go with the guy that I picked last week to win MVP and who ended up winning it during this series. I'm going to pick Giancarlo Stanton as my MVP, just because I saw more of what I wanted to see. Now, he went 0 for 4 in the third game with 4 strikeouts. But he had 4 extra base hits in the 2 games before that, and that's what I wanted to see. I love the singles. I love him getting on base. I love his 250 average, but I want that paired with an 850, 900 OPS, and those 4 extra base hits in the first 2 games were one step in the right direction. I could have picked Schlittler. I could have picked Luis Gil. I mean, those were 2 guys that had outstanding performances, and you can argue without Cam Schlittler, they probably don't win game 3. But yeah, I think Stanton, 4 extra base hits in those first 2 games, and like a lot of them early, was able to get the Yankees on the board early and help them get on the board early, I think was huge. So yeah, I'm going to take Giancarlo Stanton. Keep doing it, big boy. Keep striking out, but hitting extra base hits.
It's crazy to think that he still hit 333 and went 0 for 4 in that last game. It really just shows you how well of a first 2 games he had in the series, and just 4 extra base hits in 2 games, a home run, 3 doubles. With his speed, legging out 3 doubles, that means he was hitting them off the Fenway wall, right? And he was just gifted doubles. I'm curious to see. I don't know if we have it pulled. I doubt we have it ready, but I'm curious if any of those doubles were home runs at any other ballparks. Given that I know at least he hit 1 off the wall. I can't
get
remember.
on it right now. Keep talking.
Yeah, you can look it up. Yeah, that's fine. Well, while you're looking that up, he really did have a good series, and that's kind of where we needed him to address his offensive productivity, because the slap singles for 115 miles an hour, they're nice to see. The ground balls that get through the infield pretty quickly, those are nice to see. But this is a guy that we want smashing the ball in the gap, hitting home runs like we're used to seeing, and it's nice to see, as old as he's getting, that he still has it, right? I hope that this lasts through the eventual playoff run that these guys go through. But it was a nice series. You picked Aaron Judge. He did have a good series. I mean, not as good as these other 2 guys we picked, but he did have a solid series, Judge. You're 2-5 now on the series picks. I'm 1-6. I got my first win, so I'll take it. And we will move along into the Houston series momentarily once you find this. If you figured, I
do have the numbers for you. None of the doubles were homers in any other ballparks.
Okay, all right. So I was just curious.
Homer, which by the way, I think was the second highest launch angle homer of the year, because he hit that thing to the sky. Wait, okay, that clicked on the double. I didn't want to click on the double. I wanted to click on the homer. That home run was a homer in 23 ballparks.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the doubles were true doubles, and the home run was a true home run. So there you go. All right. So Stanton and Fried both having great series against Boston as they sweep the Red Sox. They improve to 16-9. The Red Sox fall to 9-16, which will take us to this weekend series starting tonight out in Houston for game 1 of a 3-game set. The Astros 10-16 on the year. Another team that's trying to figure out their footing in the 2026 campaign. As it stands right now, the projected starters tonight, that is pretty much confirmed. Warren versus McCullers. Game 2 will be Ryan Weathers and Mike Burrows. Game 3 will be Luis Gil and Spencer Arrighetti. So the Yankees, yet again, Andrew, some favorable matchups. Not a ton of lefties in here. And I don't know if Burrows is a lefty. not one lefty. So there you go. So 3 righties. So a bit of a change up from what we've seen the last couple series where it was mainly lefties. Now they go all righties. I'm curious to see how Boone manages Paul Goldschmidt in the sense of, does he sit him 3 straight games? Is there a
He
possibility
better.
of that?
I
Yeah,
I
right.
mean, I think he does. I think he does. Yeah, I noted this because I agree with you. I mean, we've seen a lot of lefties over the last couple of weeks. It's the first time they're facing all righties in a series since April 3rd against the that series against the Marlins that started on April 3rd. So yeah, good to see. Kind of, we'll see how their lefty lineup works now, right? And you talked about that their righty heavy lineup, it was favorable that Boone would probably pick a lefty on the mound if he had to choose. I think their righty lineup is pretty good too. Like I think uh, we haven't seen Jazz get going yet, right? But Jazz against righties and Trent Grisham against righties, and Judge really doesn't lose that much against righties, and Stanton's still good against righties, and obviously Ben Rice. So I think honestly they're pretty balanced both ways, which is awesome to say. It doesn't seem like you're like, hey, I don't want a lefty on the mound, or hey, I don't want a righty on the mound. They're pretty balanced. They could mash both. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. The Yankees, since getting swept by the Astros in 2022 in the ALCS, sorry to bring that up, probably like the worst playoff series we've seen, like Judge in the Judge era. Maybe you could argue the Red Sox. That was pretty embarrassing too. But they're 14-6 against the Astros since that day. We all remember that like iconic 4-game sweep when Juan Soto first came over here in Houston. That was like an awesome series. But yeah, 14-6 since then. Astros have allowed the most runs in the American League this year. That's something to keep an eye on, especially you pointed out that we're getting all righties. Maybe that'll be in our favor. We'll score a bunch of runs, second worst in the MLB. Surprising from a normal pitching factory like the Astros.
Yeah, and for any fans out there tuning in, seeing Lance McCullers in game 1, I promise you this is not the same Lance McCullers that you are used to seeing. You're going to see him. He's got a mid-6 ERA, and trust me, this is coming from someone who has rostered him for multiple starts over the course of this season and last season in fantasy, and it has not gone well. He is currently on waivers for a reason. So he is not the same pitcher he used to be back when they were winning World Series, banging trash cans. So McCullers going game 1. I'm curious to see, and I'm not curious about Will Warren. I'm curious though about game 3, how Luis Gil kind of looks after a strong start in Boston. Again, I talked about at length. I think a lot of it had to do with Boston's aggressive presence in the box, which helped him out pitch count wise, even though he walked 3. I'm curious to see against some veteran hitters like Altuve and Correa, that's now back with Houston, if you're not aware. And obviously Jordan Alvarez, who we'll get to, which is he's leading the league in home runs with 11. He's been spectacular. I'm curious just to see how they kind of attack a lineup like that. And that goes for all 3 starters, not just for Heel. But I'm curious, this might be one of the more top heavy lineups in terms of just name values that these guys have to face this early on in the year.
Yeah, and not that I would ever predict the Yankees to lose a game because I'm a homer. I'll never predict them to lose a game. They're going to go 162-0 every single year until they don't. But Spencer Arrighetti against Luis Hill, that to me is a little bit of a lopsided matchup in favor of the Astros. I think Arrighetti's probably the best Astros pitcher in their rotation outside of Hunter Brown. I haven't really kept up with how Hunter Brown has been performing thus far this year. Obviously,
I
he's a
think Hunter
stud.
Brown's been hurt as well.
Oh, yes, you're correct. Yeah, you're right. You
Yes.
are. He's only made 2 starts. So yes, he's been hurt. So Spencer Arrighetti has been really, really good for them. The one thing he kind of stinks at is walk percentage. That's in one of the bottom percentiles in the league. So maybe the Yankees hop on that because they've been walking a lot. But yeah, I think that matchup to me kind of seems a little lopsided, but who knows if maybe Luis Hill can shoot up the radar gun in the warm weather in Houston and get some more strikeouts. But yeah, that to me seems like the one I circle like, okay, watch out for this matchup.
I'm curious, Andrew, how do you feel
Yeah,
that the Yankees, though? I know you said you're a homer and you'll never predict them to lose, but I
of
am
course.
curious how you feel they match up against that top heavy lineup that they have, in the sense of Correa and Altuve, that just are very veteran minded hitters that are tough outs. They both are high average type of guys that put the bat on the ball pretty consistently. And then a guy like Jordan Alvarez, who's just been mashing the ball seemingly against anybody that's been thrown at him. I'm curious how
Yeah,
you
I mean,
think they'll fare.
scoring runs has not been a problem for the Astros. They're like 10-16 because they just allow runs. I think they have 130 runs. I could look that up again, but I think I saw that before. So scoring runs is not like an issue for them. But yeah, I would say they're like decently top heavy, but I think they got some guys like Jeremy Pena is really good, and I don't know. I feel like their lineup is pretty solid. I don't know where Carlos Correa's numbers are at this year. He was hot and cold last year. I don't know how Jose Altuve has been faring so far this year. I'm looking at it now. Correa has a 750 OPS. His numbers look decent. Altuve is sitting at a 760 OPS, so right around the same. His average not that high, which is surprising for him. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned Yordan Alvarez leads the league in home runs. He leads the league in a lot more than that. He leads the league in average, on base percentage, slugging, OPS, and RBIs. The guy's been the most unreal hitter outside of Ben Rice. No, unreal hitter ahead of Ben Rice. We talk about Ben Rice being just absolutely dominant. Yordan Alvarez, it seems like every time Ben Rice does something good, he one-ups him and then some. So he is a scary, scary hitter right now. Yeah, player of the month, I would say. AL player of the month for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Um, so I don't know what his splits are. I'm going to look them up off the top of my head because I'm curious to see if he is a. I mean, I'm not going to say he's a righty merchant per se, but I'm curious to see because the Yankees do have two righties going up in this series. If you look at his bubbles on Baseball Savant, he is
I mean,
it's all red.
dude.
It is all red. All right, so against righties and lefties, the only glaring difference is the average and the OPS. It's funny. He's better now. Granted, it's 38 less plate appearances, but it still is 40 plate appearances against lefties. He's batting 424 against lefties with 5 home runs, and against righties with 78 at bats or at plate appearances, he has 6 home runs. So the home runs are split in half the at bats, half the chances. And he hits 430 against lefties. He's got a 1.4 OPS against lefties, 1.1 against righties, a 939 slug against lefties, Andrew. He has 2 doubles and 5 home runs. So yeah, he has 14 hits. So half of them are extra base hits against lefties.
An insane thing to me, and he's done this his whole career, and you don't really see this a lot from guys like him that hit the ball hard, that hit home runs, that have extra base hits. The guy doesn't strike out. The guy does not. He doesn't strike out. I mean, he's been in the high percentiles in strikeout percentage his whole career. Against lefties this year, he's striking out 7% of the time. Against righties, 10% of the time. Those are both like well below league average. I think league average is probably somewhere in the 20s. So, yeah, the guy has been unreal. He has a 1.4 OPS against lefties this season.
He's only
that's insane.
Yeah, he's only struck out 11 times this year.
That's nuts. That is actually insane.
Yeah, there you go.
Like you think of names when you think of Yordan Alvarez. I mean, who do you think of? Like, oh, he's a hitter like Judge and Schwarber, and like you think of him one of those guys, one of those slow kind of DH-y kind of guys.
Right.
Guy doesn't strike out like those guys. Hell no, he does not.
He's got 19 walks and 11 strikeouts. So yeah, I mean that's I'd say that's pretty good. And just to give you a full season sample size, last year, right? In 100, was he hurt at all last year? I guess he was.
Oh yeah, most of the year.
Most of the year. Okay, like so 24 was probably his last. Okay, so 24 was his last full season. Mm-hmm. In over 600 plate appearances, he struck out, my math, 95 times last 24 in 24, and he walked about 70 times. So, you know, it's not a horrendous ratio. We're talking about like, not that he's Joey Gallo, but those kind of guys that you might associate with a hitter like Yordan Alvarez. That's just like a big power bat. You know, you're talking like 200 strikeout seasons. He's barely getting to 100 in a full season. So, he is a really, really good pitcher. He has a sense for the zone. And what makes it even worse is he is better against lefties. So you can't even get seemingly that matchup advantage against him. And the home run that comes to mind is the home run against Robbie Ray in the playoffs. I forget which year it was, but whenever Robbie Ray was with the Mariners and he hit the lefty home run to give the Astros the lead in game 5, maybe the ALDS or something like that. But yeah, the lefty, he took it to the seats, like the third deck off Robbie Ray. And it just sticks with you that this guy can mash lefties. So I guess it's good the Yankees have 2 righties going up in this series. I guess you could view it that way. I don't really know.
Why not, right?
Right. So I'm curious then to see how Boone handles him, because I am sure there will be at least one instance in this series where he will have to go to the bullpen to face Yordan Alvarez. He'll take out a starter to not let him face that starter for a 3rd or 4th time, right? So I am curious to see how Boone will manage some of those matchups with the bullpen and who he decides to trust in those high leverage spots, because this will be a close game. You mentioned that the Astros are giving up the most runs and they're up there scoring the most runs. So there will be runs scored in this series. The Yankees offense will have to come to play. Like they're going to have to almost continue that stat of Houston just giving up all the runs, the most runs in the majors. They're going to have to further that if they want to compete in this series, because I do think that Houston will be able to score runs. Again, no Fried and no Schlittler in this series for the Yankees. So they do have their quote unquote weaker starters, if you will. How weak they are, it might not be that weak, but they don't have their two top dogs going in this series. So the offense will have to be on their A game, assuming that Luis Gil in that third game walks a couple guys. The last thing you want to do is for Gil to walk a guy or two for a Yordan Alvarez batting third at bat. That's like the last thing you want. So there's going to be situations like that for the Yankees I see forthcoming.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to throw a lefty or a righty, just whoever throws the most balls and puts them on first base. I'm cool with that. Yeah, they have the most runs scored in the American League, and the most runs allowed. So that's an interesting split. That's why they're 10-16. But yeah, good lineup, bad pitching. Let's take advantage of the bad pitching. It's kind of the opposite, like the Red Sox. I mean, the Red Sox don't have great pitching either, but the Red Sox pitched great against us, but we pitched great against them. Now we have to hit well against the Astros because it doesn't seem like we're going to pitch as well against them. But we'll see. Yeah, this will be, I mean, hey, if those starting pitchers for the Yankees match what they've been doing against the Royals and the Red Sox against the Astros, I'm like all in. I'm all in. So we'll see.
Well, we shall see. All right. So now let's get to the series MVP picks for the Houston series. Now, Andrew, you're going to have to remind me if I picked first last time or if you did.
Well, I forget if we've been pairing it like you pick first for the MVP for the last series. Does that mean you pick first now? We should just do it that way. Like you pick the winner from the last series and you pick the who's going to win, and then I'll go next week.
So I'll go first this time is what you're saying.
Yep.
Okay. I think this is the first time I will pick this player, and it's for a very simple reason. It's the majority of the reason why we will choose someone to win this award. It has a lot to do with the matchups, and call me Aaron Boone all you want, but I'm pretty much gifted 3 starts this weekend. I'm going to choose Ben Rice. I'm going to choose him. It's hard to not pick Ben Rice, and it is the first time because I think you've picked him twice now. So I haven't really been able to pick him yet. And the last couple series, they've been 2 or 3 lefties starting. So it was kind of hard to really choose him. But now you get 3 righties with Houston. I think this is very favorable. And I already think it's going to be an offensive series for the Yankees. So I think there will be multiple candidates having good games, assuming the Yankees do what they need to do to win, right? If the offense goes to sleep, they're probably going to lose 2 out of 3. Maybe they get swept. If the offense shows up, there will be multiple outstanding performers. I think Ben Rice will have the duel with Yordan Alvarez. We'll see if he can catch up or if Alvarez can keep up with Ben Rice if it goes the way I'm predicting. But I just think this is a big series for Rice. He's been very good against righties. He's been pretty solid against lefties, not so much in the last couple of games, but he has been an all-around hitter that has just been a hard out to get. And it seems like it is the true home run, strikeout, or like a double for him. That's really the 3 outcomes for Ben Rice so far this year. So it's been refreshing to see. So that's my pick.
That's the right pick. I mean, that's who I was going to pick if you awarded me going first. But I'm a man of the people. I'm a man of credibility. I'm a man of honor. So I will respect what we do here. But yes, good pick. I think Ben Rice will work out for you just fine. I'm going to go a little bolder. Okay. I'm going to go a little bolder. We saw a little bit in the last series, even though it was cold, okay, which this player hates. I'm going to take Jazz Chisholm to win series MVP against all the righties. He could steal the bases. I think he's going to get a lot of hits in the nice warm weather.
Wow.
That home run is going to jolt him. We're at the end of April now, okay? This is no more April slide for him. We're going into May. Let's transition on a good note. I think Jazz Chisholm, he's going to get all the starts.
It's getting warm.
Against the righty. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's going to be in Houston. He doesn't have to worry about the cold and the ski masks.
They might have the roof open for one game. You never know.
Well, yeah, and then the breeze. Don't even get me started. I'll take Jazz Chisholm. I don't feel great about it.
Wow.
Okay. He's going to make me feel great about it at the end of the weekend. So that's why I feel great about it.
Wow. All right. That's a gutsy. That reminds me of my Austin Wells pick from earlier in the year, which I will never do ever again, by the way.
I considered him as well. I think he's been unlucky. I think the numbers portray that. I think he's been an unlucky hitter. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's Austin Wells. But I'm going to go with Jazz Chisholm just because I think he could do more than I feel like if Austin Wells were to win a series MVP, he'd have to probably hit 2 home runs. I think Jazz can make an impact, base running, fielding, that might, push him over the edge, even if he's not hitting home runs.
Now, okay, it's an interesting pick, and I'll tell you what, if you end up being correct, it will be one of the sharper picks of this MVP
Some would say I should get 2
segment.
points.
I'll tell you what,
Some would say.
I will
No,
give you two.
we won't. We won't mess with it.
If I approve of this, then that's fair game. Like if I sign off on that, I don't. Okay, you don't want the okay, then that's on you.
I could have picked Aaron Judge, and I went with Jazz Chisholm. I'm taking the risk. It's fine.
I did leave you Judge. I didn't pick him just because in the back of my mind, I just can't shake the thought of all the playoff series against Houston, and no matter who they threw out there, they just seemingly always figured out a way to throw him that low and away slider, and he could never lay off of it. So I picked someone else. I did think about it, but it's just too much. There's too much of a sample size, and I get it's not these three same guys that he's faced before, but some teams just have a knack for pitching to him, and I think this is one of the teams. So I kind of stayed away from that.
We shall see.
We shall see indeed. Now,
before we end, I do have some fun post-series stats if you'd like to hear.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I have some fun, uplifting things. Just because the Yankees are on a roll, that's what we should be doing. Yankees lead the AL in runs allowed, fewest runs allowed in the American League, second to the Dodgers, which I think they lead in like everything. Fourth in runs scored in the American League. We talked about the Astros, they lead. It's the Angels and the Twins, which I don't think is going to continue. So I think the Yankees will jolt eventually. Best run differential in the American League. 16-9 is the best record in the American League. They have a 64% win percentage right now. The next closest is the Rays with 54%. And the Yankees lead the major leagues in ERA and are second in pitching whip. So fun stuff. A lot of fun stuff.
They've been really, really good.
Stats, though, I'll be honest. Like 28th in average, and I'm not like a huge average guy. That's not what you want to see. But despite that, they are still 13th in on base percentage and third in walks. So if you're not going to hit, like get on base.
Right, but see, here's the issue. I am willing to bet my bottom dollar that 28th in batting average is because the hitters from 6 through 9 in the lineup.
Probably correct.
And
probably right.
All those walks that you're mentioning, that they're ranked, what'd you say they were? Fourth?
Third in the MLB.
Third in the MLB in walk. That's all great and all, but when you walk the first two guys or whatever, and then now it's up to the 6 through 9 hitters to drive them in, that's where the average kicks in and they can't drive in the runs. And that was something I brought up in previous videos where I said, I noticed that these walk numbers are high. Like they're getting on base. But it's resulting in 3-run games. Like they could have walked 9 times and the Yankees might score 4 runs. I think a large part of that has to do with the bottom of the order just not hitting. Jazz not hitting. He's a part of that equation. And I understand he had the home run in Fenway, but up until that point, he was not hitting. So outside of Stanton, Rice, and Judge, and Grisham, but Grisham, to his credit, has had clutch hits, but he's still hitting below 200. So a lot of these guys they're not getting those hits. Grisham really is the only one, despite the low average, when he has guys on, he's putting the ball in play, resulting in some home runs here and there. Other than him, if it's Grichuk, and again, Grichuk had a good series against Boston, but if it's been Grichuk, if it's been Chisholm, if it's been Wells, Caballero has had some flashes, but for the most part, I think that's what's really tanking the team average to 28th. And so that's why that's a little concerning for me. If they ranked, I don't know, 15th and the entire lineup was, if this bottom of the lineup was working, hitting the ball at a decent rate, they'd probably be somewhere middle of the pack average wise. And that would be good enough.
And I haven't checked what their average is with runners in scoring position, but I think that's like fairly low too. Now, again, average, not like a huge deal to me, but it is a number they were top 10 in last year. So
it should be though. It should be. It should be a huge deal to you for the bottom of the order, because again, all those walks mean nothing. If they're not hitting the ball, like, okay, fine. Wells walks. Now it's the Caballero, right? And these guys need to drive in the runs. If the guys that are setting the tone for them earlier in the lineup are getting the walks, they're all for nothing. Like these guys have to be able to hit. That's the thing. So batting average, if it's the bottom of the order, that's really been the Achilles heel for them in that stat, then it really does matter. Batting average for the top 5 guys, if they're walking at a good rate, then I agree. It doesn't matter as much. But for the guys on the bottom of the lineup that aren't walking nearly at the rate, and they're not, they got to hit the ball. They got to somewhat make up for that difference in walk rate. So
there's 2 guys that are at the top of the league in the bottom of the order at walk rate, and it's Austin Wells and a guy that hasn't been playing that much in Ryan McMahon. Caballero doesn't walk a lot. Jazz Chisholm obviously hasn't been doing anything a lot. So yeah.
Right. And you're going to
concerning.
add, and you're likely going to add Volpe to that mix, who I understand he has the 20 plus homer upside, but he's not exactly your best average guy either that you're going to plug
No.
in there. So seemingly, I mean, you can't really get, I mean, you can. There's only 2 more spots below 28. So maybe he improves it slightly. But if we're talking 25th and 28th by season's end, it's not really that big of a deal. We kind of need to see a jump to at least the 15th mark. Like, I think you need to be middle of the league in that stat for it to be passable. So the bottom of the order, and they've been bad, they're still 16-9, right? With that low of an average, mostly coming from the bottom of the order. So you hope that, and again, this was Judge hitting 230, right? So you expect that to tick up as well. If he starts hitting around the 280 range, that team average will jump up as well. But that will have to change going forward. We'll see what they do. Maybe they get a guy at the deadline. I don't know. But that will have to be fixed, and that's not an issue to address right now. They are 16-9, but you bring up those stats, and that's kind of the initial reaction I had when you brought that up. So, bottom of the order is gonna have to figure it out. Any more fun stats, or that's what you had?
That's it for my fun stats. 6 in
Okay,
OPS. Like there are numbers that, like, the Yankees were first in OPS last year. They were top 10 in average. So those are numbers that need to go up. But
right.
yeah, I mean, it's got to be the bottom of the lineup that's killing them a little bit. But again, Trent Grisham not hitting for average still. Jazz Chisholm not hitting for average, which, I mean, Jazz is not like a super average hitter. But he's not a 180 hitter, which is what he's sitting at right now. Last year, he was a 240 hitter. Year before that, 250. So just a couple guys need to get back into their back of the baseball card a little bit.
100%. Now, before we say goodbye, I want to just bring up the Houston ABS stuff. I have those numbers prepared. It's kind of similar to, I guess this is kind of flip-flop. They're better at challenging in terms of the league ranks with batting than they are pitching. They're both around the 50% mark. So seemingly that's kind of the same. So it's a coin flip for them, whether it's a pitcher or it's, the pitcher, catcher, or batter challenging. They rank 13th. They're tied in attempts for batting with 24. They rank 12th in pitching attempts with 30. And again, 50% split, tied for 9th hitting wise, and for pitching, 53%, sitting at tied for 22nd. The one thing that jumped out to me, Andrew, though, was looking at the Yankees numbers. 1 for 5 from the batting challenge standpoint in that Boston series, which kind of lowered their numbers pretty good. I think they were at like the 14th or 15th rank in the majors. Now they sit at tied for 23rd. That average, or the percentage, now down to 47%. They're 15 of 35. So they do have the second most challenge attempts batting, but not hitting at a 50+% rate. Pitching wise, still towards the lower part of the league, tied for 25th, 21 pitching challenges. And they do rank about in the middle of the pack of the league, tied for 16th, 13 for 21 at 62%. So the reason I bring these numbers up, it was relevant in that Boston series because they didn't challenge a whole lot. And that was kind of their MO going into the series. They don't challenge a ton. Now, Houston, different story. If we're, around 25 challenges, 30 challenges for pitching, 25 for hitting. So this is a team that will challenge more often than Boston did. So the Yankees have to be aware of that, right? And as a fan, it's just kind of preparing you eventually, because if there's going to be a 2-strike count, they challenge, and it's going to get overturned, and it might result in a run or a hit that starts a rally. So just want to let you know.
Yeah, we're just kind of seeing the overall data as kind of just matching that coin flip mentality. I mean, overall fielders, which I mean is like catchers and pitchers, get it right 60% of the time across the league. Batters are right 46% for an overall of 54%. So, yeah, kind of that coin flip.
So we'll see how it all shakes out. Again, the Yankees 3-game set in Houston. We will be back with you on Sunday to break it all down after the series finale between Heel and Arrighetti. We'll preview the Texas Rangers series, which will start up on the following Monday. They'll have a 3-game set before they have that Thursday off day. So we appreciate you tuning in to the Allen Hour, breaking down another sweep for the Yankees, this time against the Red Sox up in Boston, which was awesome to see. The Yankees head into this weekend series on a 6-game win streak. Let's see if we can make it 9. We'll see you back on Sunday, everybody, and thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody.